Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to our news channel. Students, today we are going to talk about three important topics. First, we'll understand the history and purpose of World Environment Day, and then we'll explore India's growing environmental crisis, what's causing it, and what can be done. Finally, we'll find out how India just backed the presidency of a major international administrative body called IAS and what that even means. Okay, so sit back, grab your headphones, and let's begin. Now, do you know that today, June 5, is celebrated as the World's Environment Day? Okay, June 5 every year this day is celebrated as World Environment Day. But how did this day begin? So let's take a little trip back to the year 1972, over 50 years ago. Students, that year leaders from across the globe gathered in Stockholm, Sweden. Okay, and they were worried about the Earth's environment because forests were being cut down, air was becoming polluted, and animals were going extinct. So, this meeting was called Stockholm Conference on the Human Environment. Okay, and it was a big global step toward saving nature. So, that's where World Environment Day was born. And the very first celebration was, of course, next year, 1973. And since then, June 5th has become a day of tree plantation drives, beach cleanups, climate talks, and awareness campaigns in over 150 countries. So every year, UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, picks a theme and a host country. Like in 2023, they talked about land degradation and drought. Okay, so through campaigns, workshops, and art competitions, people across the globe, they come together to say that Earth, we haven't forgotten you. Okay, we are all in this together. So remember, students, World Environment Day isn't just about slogans, it's about action. Even planting one tree or reducing one plastic bottle, it makes a huge difference. Okay, now talking about India, will in the next article we'll talk about the India. Okay, see, listeners, here's a question for you all. Is India's environment in danger? The short answer is yes. Okay, it's getting it's getting worse. But to understand this, we need to break it down. Let's just look at the three major global problems that experts call planetary crisis. Okay, experts call it as planetary crisis. सबसे पहला क्या है, planetary crisis क्या है? Carbon emission. These are what? These are the gases we release when we burn coal, oil, gas, mostly for electricity production and also for transport and industry. Now, between 2015 and 2024, the world's carbon dioxide emission went up around 34.1 billion to 37.4 billion tons. And that's almost a 10% increase. And in India, it rose from 2.33 billion tons to 3.12 billion. Why? Because we still use a lot of coal and oil. And coal alone gives us nearly 70% of our electricity. Now imagine the air we breathe in cities uh, like Delhi. It's no surprise that Delhi often ranks as the most polluted city in the world, right? And the third global crisis is biodiversity loss. See, India is one of the most biodiverse countries. From the forest of the Western Ghats, right? These are the Western Ghats, from the forest of Western Ghats to the coral reefs of Andaman and Islands, Andaman Nicobar Island, Andaman Islands. But sadly, you know, we are losing many species. We are losing many species. Reason being, of course, deforestation for roads and mining, polluted wetlands, मोनोकल्चर फार्मिंग, मतलब जब फार्मर सिर्फ एक टाइप की क्रॉप ग्रो करते हैं, so like wheat or sugar cane, because it requires lot of water. It's a water intensive crop, and it also requires lot of chemicals. So as a result, animals lose their homes, rivers get polluted, and even our soil becomes weaker. Okay, so talking about India's pollution, students, India generates near about 62 million tons of waste every year. Okay, but only 20% of it, the waste that India produce, is scientifically processed. So mountains of garbage pile up in landfills. Dirty water from factories and cities flows into rivers like Yamuna and Ganga. And this, of course, make them what? Make them unsafe for drinking, bathing, or even agriculture. Okay. So, yes, the situation is quite serious. But let's now ask, who's responsible? See, there are several reasons. Fossil fuel, जो सबसे बड़ा हमारा major energy source है, fossil fuel. Deforestation, agriculture using too many chemicals and growing only one crop, it harms the environment. Urban waste, industrialization and consumption. See, rich countries consume a lot, and many of their industries are in poor countries like India, where pollution rules are weaker. ओके, तो वो क्या करते हैं, अपने जो पोल्यूशन जनरेटिंग इंडस्ट्रीज होते हैं, वो एशियन या अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज में स्टैब्लिश कर देते हैं, बिकॉज वहाँ पे पोल्यूशन रूल्स आर वीकर. ओके, सो इज इंडिया टू ब्लेम? सी स्टूडेंट्स, लेट्स बी फेयर. India's per person carbon footprint is just 1.9 tons per year. And if we compare it with the person who is in US, then it is 14.7 ton. So India isn't the biggest polluter per person. But because we have a huge population, our total pollution is high and rising. पर पर्सन कम है, लेकिन टोटल पॉल्यूशन ज्यादा है, इसीलिए ज्यादा है टोटल. And the people who suffer the most are the poor people, those who live near landfills, factories, or even drought hit villages. Also, students, India is a victim too. Climate change, caused mostly by richer nations, has made our monsoons unpredictable. Heat waves strong hoti ja rahi hain. Floods are becoming more dangerous. Have you seen the news recently? कहाँ पर फ्लड सबसे ज़्यादा हो रहा है? असम में. Right? So what can we do? Experts say that one thing that should be addressed as soon as possible is that rich nations must act. They should cut their emissions. They should stop outsourcing pollution. मतलब अपना जो polluting waste है, वो दूसरे countries में जाके भेज देना. African countries में भेज देते हैं. Right? Polluting industries दूसरी Asian countries में establish कर देते हैं. So, rich nations, they have to stop this. And they also need to provide funds to help developing countries. Secondly, polluting companies must pay. Okay, companies those are polluting, they must pay through carbon taxes and strict laws. Okay. Thirdly, India must grow renewable, uh, must grow sustainably. मतलब focus should be on renewable energy. Clean transport होना चाहिए, ecological farming होनी चाहिए, better waste management. फैसिलिटीज शुड बी है, क्योंकि आधा से ज़्यादा जो वेस्ट जनरेट होता है वो प्रोसेस्ड ही नहीं होता प्रॉपरली. एंड यू कैन ऑल्सो डू दिस, यू कैन ऑल्सो डू योर पार्ट इन दिस. कैसे? You can make sure that garbage is segregated into wet and dry waste. Okay, wet and dry waste, before it is being dumped, before it is being collected by the garbage collectors. You can make sure that the garbage at your home, at which is at the source, it is being segregated into two types: dry waste and wet waste. Okay, so these are the small things that you can also do. All right. And lastly, communities, they must lead. Local people should be at the heart of conservation. If a company doesn't follow green rules, it should not be allowed to do business. Okay. So, students, you can also, like I said earlier, you if you want to help, even small steps matter. Reducing plastic waste, switching off extra lights, because you're the generation that can turn things around. All right. Now, students, for our final news, let's talk about something cool that just happened at the global stage. Okay. So, India has been elected as the president of IIAS, Indian Institute of Administrative Sciences, for the term 2025 to 2028. Okay. Now, this institute, IAS, it's a, it's a big international group that works on public administration. That means how governments work, how policies are made, how complaints are solved, and how reforms are carried out. So, in total, it has 31 countries, including Japan, China, Germany, and many more. And India has been a member since 1998. Okay, and India 1998 से इसका member है, और it is being represented by a department called DARPG, that stands for Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances. All right. Now for this presidency, India nominated uh, it's P. Srinivas, who is a senior bureaucrat, and the elections were held in June. Okay. So India won against the strong competitors like South Africa and Bahrain. Now, the main thing is, why does this matter? Because now India will lead important conversations on governance, innovation, public service, and reforms. So, okay. So it's a chance for India to, share its सक्सेस स्टोरीज लाइक डिजिटल सर्विसेज, आधार सिस्टम. तो इससे क्या होगा कि वर्ल्ड विल रिस्पेक्ट इंडियाज आइडियाज एंड सिस्टम्स, एंड यू नो they can even learn from India's examples. All right, students. So that's all for today. What did we learn? सबसे पहले that World Environment Day, which is being celebrated every year on 5th of June, and it reminds us to care our planets. And in second article we covered that India's environment is in trouble, but we can change that with the right actions. Okay. And in the last, India is taking the lead globally. So as students, you are not just learners. Okay, you are also future scientists, you are IAS officer, future engineers, activists, and most importantly, citizens. So, your awareness today will build a better tomorrow. Okay? Okay, students? So, don't forget to discuss what you learned with your friends and family, and maybe even try to plant a tree this week, considering we celebrate the World Environment Day. Okay? So, this is your host signing off. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and please take care of our planet. Okay? Bye bye.